never know. It might play out where Devin might not even get the chance to fight Lomachenko. He might go up to 40 and end up fighting Tio, and it might just be me and Lomachenko. So you just never know how it's gonna go at the end of the day. I think they're amazing fights. Both of them amazing fighters, and I'm down with that.
Previously on Bodywork Box.
Yeah, Devin Haney is obligation to do the rematch in October with Gamboza, and after that, if he's successful, and Loma will be fighting hopefully in October. We can look forward to a Loma Haney fight, which will be a massive event.
Absolutely, and just my last few questions around Haney. Some people have been saying one of the big fights that could be made. Floyd said that could be like Devin Haney and Shakur would be tremendously popular. Is that, you think, the biggest fight?
There are a lot of big fights, and thankfully, with fighters that fight for top rank. Shakur against Lomachenko, Shakur against Haney are big fights.
I done tumbled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning, throw thunder in jail. That's bad. Only last week, I murdered a rock. Angela Stone, I fertilized a brick. That's bad. So me, I make medicine sick. Fast. Last night, I cut the light off my bedroom, hit the switch, was in the bed before the room was dark. All you chumps are gonna bow when I whip him. All of you, I know you got him. I know you got him, Dick. But the man can cover. I'm gonna show you how great I am.
When I was a casual, I thought as a casual, I spoke like a casual, and I looked at boxing like a casual. But when I became a hardcore, I put away all those casual things. This is Michael Rogers, and welcome to Bodywork Boxing. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. And today I want to talk about something that I may be severely wrong, but I promise you I don't think I am. Now, every now and again, boxing, the sport of boxing, the business of boxing, however you want to label it, has a chance to actually fix itself. Let me paint the landscape. Thanks for tuning back in. Thanks for visiting. I do appreciate your time. I know that time isn't easy to come by these days. So I do appreciate you being here. Now, the landscape of the 135 division is very, very interesting. And I believe I'm one of the only people that's actually really saying that the 135-pound division just now really got started to get cracking. Now, before I paint this picture about how Shakur Stevenson and Lomachenko are going to end up on the big stage together fairly soon, I would say by spring of 2023, they're going to be on the big stage. Before I get into it, let's address this Ring Magazine / ESPN snubbing Devin Haney. It was a guy that passed away recently who did a lot of work, and a lot of his truths and a lot of things that he talked about used to really hurt a lot of people's feelings. But at the end of the day, if you look at it objectively and what he was actually trying to do, we actually could see that a lot of times people just didn't like the raw deal, the raw facts of what he was actually saying. And what he would do is it'd almost be a checkmate, or you're stepping in a pile of shit or a pile of quicksand from the initial question. Now, a lot of people are outraged for Devin Haney, saying he's not getting the respect he deserves. They're just saying a lot of things, and to me, I don't find that really to be true. I think that a lot of people actually gave Devin Haney a pat on the back. They were actually saying that, hey, he's the example of, if you really want something, with hard work and dedication, how you can actually achieve it. However, it does not take away from the resume. A lot of people are outraged that he's not labeled as top 10 pound for pound, and the news flash is that there are 10 fighters out there pound for pound that are better than Devin Haney. or has proven or has an argumentative case that they are actually better than Devin Haney. You actually have to look at it. He had Gamboa, Jorge Linares, Jojo Diaz, and George Kambosos. He had Gamboa coming off a loss with a torn Achilles caused by Tank. Coming off a loss, never knocked him down. He had Linares, who he got buzzed in round 10. Hung on for round 11 and actually was able to gather his wits and then, close the show in round 12. An overall dominant performance. But the highlight of that fight, contrary to popular belief, was him getting buzzed and rocked and wobbled and stanky leg by one Jorge Linares. Mind you, Lord Linares had got stopped before and after Devin Haney. Viciously. Devin Haney never knocked him down. And then lastly, you have George Kambosos, a guy who was able to actually beat with the jab. The thing is about the George Kambosos win is that a lot of people are saying, oh man, give him his respect. He is undisputed. He got the belts. True. People do respect and they do acknowledge him as the undisputed champion of the 135 division. That's where the respect goes. Everybody is saluting Devin Haney. I'm not sure why everybody's upset. The problem is between Devin Haney's fans, his only fans, and then the YouTube boxing streets, actually painting this narrative. You gotta think that when T.O. had a belt that he went and got from Comey, he fought his way to that position, went and got a belt from Comey, and then he met Lomachenko with the other 3 belts, with the WBC designating him to be in the franchise champion, which was a status that was elevated over the regular in which he sent to Devin Haney at the time. At that time, those 4 belts was on the line. Nobody gave Teofimo any credit for actually beating Lomachenko. And then even after the fight, they gave more excuses as to why Lomachenko lost, as opposed to why Teofimo won. And he was able to make Loma put his hands in his pockets for the first 8 rounds. He got no credit. He got no respect. Why? They were saying, oh, because Lomachenko in the belts that he fought, when he went and fought Campbell and he got his belt, that's the other belt that he went and got. When he went and fought Campbell and got the belt, they gave no respect because they said, why? Because you didn't fight Devin Haney. So Lomachenko didn't get any credit for the belts that he acquired. Teofimo didn't get any credit for the belt he acquired from Comey. He didn't get any credit from when he got all the belts from Lomachenko except for the WBC regular. He didn't get any respect. When Kambosos beat T.O., they said, oh man, you don't get no respect because you didn't fight Devin Haney. Okay. And then people said that George Kambosos was a bum. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out when Devin Haney actually beats George Kambosos. Yes, he did it in impressive fashion. We also saw that there were some ultra flaws in George Kambosos in that he could not get past the jab, much like Canelo and Bivol, in which Canelo thought Bivol was a cherry pick. And it goes to the boxing IQ as far as he couldn't beat Bivol with a jab. Kambosos couldn't get past the jab. So we fast forward to when he gets knighted, he represents history. He's number 8 on the Undisputed, the youngest in the 4-belt era to actually get it, and we gave him salute. But how do you discredit everybody on the lead up to actually getting a belt? To actually, when you actually get it, saying that you want all the respect. You and your fans caused this. You caused this, so it's not. It sounds kind of weird to actually call foul play after you went around discrediting everybody who held the belts before you until you got them, and then you want all the credit. It doesn't work like that. Another thing is, every now and again, boxing has a chance to actually right its wrongs. And the opportunity that's available, one, I don't understand how, if Devin Haney has so much power, how Lomachenko is able to go and fight another fight. A lot of people was outraged about that, say, oh man, he need a tune-up. How, if you are the man and you have all this power and all this pull, how is Lomachenko able to go take a tune-up? How are you, if you the man, you have so much power and leverage, and you're arguing about, oh, now the belts don't matter. How is Lomachenko actually able to go and actually get a tune-up? How? The answer is Bob. Bob actually told us before. Watch out for the video. Watch out for the video I'm gonna come out with. It's almost a year I done made this thumbnail, but it's when trolls tell the truth. Back when Bob ARUM said Devin Haney was on the wrong side of the street, he was telling the truth. How do we know? Because when he got over there to top rank, to where he could actually get into the fights, he actually was able to get undisputed. So at the time when Bob said it, everybody said, oh man, he trolling. He got on the right side of the street and actually made it happen. And now he's undisputed. But Bob holds all the leverage. A lot of people was actually saying, oh man, one of Lomachenko's biggest fans, Lomachenko and Devin's biggest fans was saying, oh man, you really think they're gonna put Jermaine Ortiz in there with Lomachenko, thinking that he would risk it all? Bob ARUM's not stupid. I'm like, yes, but you all ran around thinking that Bob ARUM was gonna be foolish enough to allow Devin Haney to get in the ring with one of the most dangerous boxers boxing today in Tank Davis. You really think Bob was gonna risk it? So it was all cap. Bob ARUM is actually setting the table for a Shakur and Haney fight or a Shakur and Loma fight. He said it in his words. And here we have Shakur saying, you never know, because Devin's been struggling. Now all this push, now in the 135 division, minus T.O. going up to 140. Now the 135 division is now finally starting to pop. You got the Frank Martins, you got the Rios. You got all these guys actually doing their thing, the Isaac Cruz. You got Rolly in the mix. I don't know why people calling him out as opposed to Cruz, but that's a whole nother video in which I think a lot of people are ducking Isaac Cruz and going for the low-hanging fruit in Rolly. But I digress. But now that 135 is actually on and popping, it's kind of odd that Devin Haney it's all this pressure. Because I remember just a couple months ago, I think back in February, when Mr. Gary Russell Jr. lost, and Mr. Gary Antoine was saying, hey Devin, I hear you saying my brother's a bum. Actually, I would like to actually get in the ring with you. I would like to share the ring with you. It was all this, oh my gosh, he's 140 pounds and he don't have anything to offer. And now it's just it's a great push. It's a mega push for Devin Haney to get up out of 135. You signed a 3-fight deal contract. Nobody really envisioned you actually doing 2 fights, which is the original fight with Kambosos, a rematch, and then going to 140. But now all of a sudden, but when T.O. was saying that he couldn't make weight, when T.O. was saying he was struggling in my body and this and this and this, and then actually showed in his final fight with George Kambosos that and a bad strategic game plan, he got all kind of shit. Oh man, that's just excuses. Now Devin Haney, when Shakur's on his way, Shakur's already said several times in 7 different interviews, if he's not getting the fights that he wants, which he's actually getting ready to fight another former Brazilian Olympian in Robson Conceição, who actually dominated Oscar Valdez but was not able to get the nod and got robbed by the judges. He's actually on the warpath from Jamel Herring to Oscar Valdez to Conceição to the division he just conquered in 26 pretty much. He pretty much conquered. He didn't fight Gary Russell, but I digress from that. But with Tank still being there, who none of the big names have fought at 135, and with Shakur being on the way, why is Devin Haney jumping out of the frying pan right now? You gotta ask yourself that. And with that being said, and with everybody echoing that, because that's all we're starting to hear. Oh man, after this, it's probably going to be 140. And Devin said, well, after the George Kambosos, depending on my weight, my strength, and what my daddy says, it's going to tell me whether or not I have to go to 140. I just find that very odd. But what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, if you pay attention, the writing is on the wall for Shakur to fight Lomachenko. Why? Because it's a big fight. It's a fight that people will pay for. It's a more realistic fight. With Shakur moving up from a division that Lomachenko was well known and very good at, they would say that it's a more even matchup. Even though we want to see Devin Haney fight Lomachenko and make boxing right its wrongs in the fact that Devin got a belt from Lomachenko dropping it and getting elevated. Now it's an opportunity after this fight, if he can get past Kambosos, for Devin Haney and Lomachenko to dance. And everybody's actually coming up with ways for Lomachenko to be ducked or maneuvered around or skipped over. He went to the back of the line and he went and fought the Nakatani and the Comey, and he worked his way back up in the division. Meanwhile, you have Devin Haney, who fought Gamboa. He fought Linares. He fought Jojo Diaz, which was really a 130-pounder moving up to 135, who already got beat by a guy, and Gary Russell, that Devin Haney never fought. And to top it off, you fought George Kambosos. Gamboa, Linares, Diaz, and Kambosos is not a top 10 pound for pound, since you beat them in your division, resume. This is not an Errol Spence situation. This wasn't an Errol Spence, Jamel Charlo situation where they went by and they collected each belt one by one by one. You beat Kambosos, who was not considered the best link in the 135 division. He wasn't. This is a sad truth, but it's the truth nonetheless. There's no outrage to be had. If you're going to be outraged, you got to be outraged with the resume. The fact that when it was a time when you can actually fought Gary Russell Jr. instead of Gamboa, you fought Gamboa. When it was a time when you could have fought Lowe instead of Linares, you fought Linares. And when it was a time when you could actually sign the one fight deal with TMT to fight Tank, you took your talents over the Top Rank and chose to get into a 3-fight deal. So we got to be real with ourselves and say, hey, how much of it is self-inflicted? How much of it is you discounting everybody else when they had those belts and demanding full market value now that you got it? Don't work like that. You can't devalue the value of a house and then go to sell it and actually increase the market value and what you want to sell it for and raise the price point. You're not going to get it. People are not going to respect it. They respect you for being undisputed, but they don't respect the resume. And in all actuality, you still have the Nakatani, you have Comey, you have Tank, you got Ryu, Isaac Cruz, Rolly, Frank Martin. You got it's a lot of names at 135 right now. So it's more names, more notable names at 135 that you have not fought than you have. So I'm telling you what, this is what Bob's plan is. Bob has a plan for Shakur to fight Loma, or for Shakur to fight Haney. And he can put on his track shoes and run up to 140. Where he's going to go, I don't know. We have yet to hear about a T.O. fight. And then with Pedraza just going to a draw with Comey, I mean, the dude Felix Barboza want T.O. So are you going to get a Gary Russell? Unlikely, because Bob is focused on Top Rank. So who on Top Rank, especially with Josh Taylor moving up to 147 or getting ready to put on his track shoes to leave? What is the rush? You're a professional and you've been doing it all this time. I just find it so hard that you just busting out the seam so bad right now when the 135 is lit and you're the champ. And these fights can actually happen if you gave it time and you just do what you needed to do on your contract. The big fights could be made. Anyway, what do you think about it? It's clear because we actually heard from Bob. We're hearing from Shakur. Ladies and gentlemen, the next fight, after this fight, after Loma get his tune up and after Shakur actually fight Robinson Conceição, I believe that in the spring it's going to be Lomachenko and Shakur Stevenson. And you say, why do you say that, Mike? Why? Because I don't think that they're putting Jermaine Ortiz in there because he has power. That's what he's really known for. They're not putting him in there to prepare him for Devin Haney. Power is not Devin Haney's strong suit. That would be a fight to where he might be able to get used to some of that power that Shakur got. Now, Devin and Shakur are both defensive specialists, but I think that when it comes to what separates them is Shakur's accuracy. And Shakur can fight on the inside much better than Devin, because he's a distance master. Even though Devin, He can fight good on the outside. He maintains distance, and he can pluck you off with the jab from the outside. But when it comes to being able to mix it out, outside, mid-range, and inside, Shakur is a much better fighter. He's more defensive, and when it comes to the hit and not get hit, he's one of the leaders in that statistic as far as not getting hit. So I believe that the stage is set for Shakur and Loma to get it on. Whether I'm right or wrong, we'll see. But that's what I think is going on. What do you think? I'd like to get your comments. You know, thanks for liking and subscribing. Thanks again for your time here at Bodywork Boxing, where we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
All right, I believe you, but my Tommy gun don't. Get down on your knees and tell me you love me.
My word, I do what I do. He knows what I'm about to tell him right now. It's Mr. Keep running your mouth. That's what I do.
I just feel like I'm the champ, and at the end of the day, I'm just a fighting motherfucker. It doesn't matter. Inside, outside, I can just fight. So I just feel like if it gets down to the wire, and we gotta lock it up, I'm out on top.
Hey, as you can see how I'm looking, I stay solid. I'm always solid. I stay fuck solid on the ring. You know what I'm saying? To the fans and all that.
Do that job outside the ring. I'm a fighter. Like I said before, ain't no safety on the top, so